Hello, it's your friend CJ Werleman, and in this episode we show how global hatred of Israel has reached unprecedented heights, resulting in the mass deportation of Israeli tourists from an ever-increasing number of countries. But first, please remember to like and subscribe to our show, and don't forget to turn on your notifications so you never miss a single episode. Now let's get into it. In a recent article for Patreon members, I explain why anti-American and anti-Israel attitudes around the world have soared to record levels, with a new survey showing that a clear majority of people in 24 countries now hold a negative view towards both countries. As Israel falls to dead last place in the Global Nation Brands Index for the second year in a row, for the simple reason that everyone now hates the Zionist state and the Zionist ideology, including a clear majority of Americans who now favour Palestinians over the Jewish state for the first time in US history. But what really stands out in this data is that growing American hostility towards Israel now aligns with attitudes long held towards Israel in the Arab world, with both Americans and Arabs opposing US support for Israel, opposing US support for authoritarian regimes in the Middle East, and opposing US military attacks and sanctions against Arab countries. What the world especially hates is American and Israeli hypocrisy towards democracy and human rights, which they claim to champion while committing genocide in Gaza and Sudan and bombing 9 countries in a single year.
This war caused a historic shift in public opinion on how Americans view the Middle East conflict. What are we talking about here? Who voters sympathize more with, the Israelis or the Palestinians? Back in October of 2023, it was the Israelis by 48 points. Look at this shift. Now we're talking about the Palestinians by a point. I looked back at every single poll that I could possibly find since this question was first asked in the 1980s. This is the first time ever in which the Palestinians had any sort of lead on this particular question. It is very clear that this war caused a historic shift away from the Israeli position in the Middle East conflict and towards the Palestinians when it comes to who Americans and voters sympathize with. This, of course,
separating people from the actions of their government is a core principle in political science, human rights, and international law, because doing so ensures accountability while protecting individual liberty. A notion I support wholeheartedly, albeit with one notable exception: the State of Israel. Mostly because it's impossible to separate the criminal psychopathy of Benjamin Netanyahu from the collective psychopathy of the general Israeli population. Given 8 out of 10 Israelis support genocide and ethnic cleansing in the Palestinian territories, and with a similar majority supporting Israel's wars of aggression against the entire region, Zionism has reached a point where Israeli rabbis now openly endorse genocide.
כל אחד מאיתנו, אם אתה אזרח, אם אתה חייל, אם אתה שוטר, אם אתה שב"כ ואיש מוסד, לא משנה מה אתה. אם אתה רואה אותם, ויש לך איזה תירוץ חוקי הכי קטן שבעולם, גמור עליהם 2 מחסניות, לא אחת.
The world is fed up with Israel, and it's fed up with Western governments doing nothing to rein in and halt its crimes against humanity. People demand action, and thankfully, a growing list of countries is heeding the call by proposing and enacting laws that either punish the Israeli government and/or Israeli citizens. Here, Romanians take to the streets in Bucharest, demanding their government end Zionist influence in national politics and ban or deport Israeli tourists, a call that's being echoed in South America, where Chilean officials demand a total ban on Israeli tourists, citing popular Israeli support for the genocide of Palestinians. There's just no denying that the call to ban Israelis has grown in size and intensity since we aired this episode 12 months ago, in which we revealed why several Asian countries have banned Israelis, including the Maldives and North Korea, with the latter going so far as to mandate the death penalty for anyone who promotes the Zionist ideology. But while Pyongyang might not be a popular destination for ordinary Israelis or anyone else for that matter, the same can't be said for Thailand, which attracts roughly 4% of the total Israeli population each and every year, bringing with them substantial economic benefits to the Thai economy.
Thank you. You are not welcome here. I'm sorry, but your money, but my money, okay? Build your country.
Oh, wow. Okay, keep that.
Her demeaning and insulting words went viral on social media, before causing a backlash from Thai business owners who accuse Israeli tourists of operating illegal businesses and stealing jobs from locals, while engaging in all kinds of illegal activities, prompting Thais to claim they're illegally occupied by Zionists.
Israeli tourists in Thailand are being slammed on TikTok for their behavior. Locals describe them as rude and difficult and are posting videos of their disruptions on social media.
Pai used to be this bohemian mountain town where people would come for tranquility and peace and the abundance of nature. Now the energy has completely shifted, and it has a lot to do with who's here. This town is completely overrun with Israelis. I'm talking 3-to-1 ratio with locals and other tourists included. And of course, they bring their sense of entitlement with them everywhere they go. Literally everybody is sick of them, the locals and other tourists.
We've seen Israelis arrested for possessing or trafficking drugs and deported for menacing the local population, working illegally and carrying out drunken and violent raids on Thai hospitals. This atrocious behaviour is being replicated wherever Israelis travel, a reality that even Jewish publications acknowledge to be true, saying, from Cyprus to Turkey, through Thailand, Peru, the United Kingdom, India and many other destinations, the bad reputation of Israelis almost always catches up with them. So much so that they are ranked among the worst tourists in the world. A sentiment that the South Asian nation of Sri Lanka knows all too well, with locals claiming their livelihoods are being threatened by IDF soldiers who participated in the Gaza genocide.
Locals in Arugambay, Sri Lanka are used to a quiet life of fishing and surfing. But lately, parts of their town are being taken over. Fearing reprisals, they agreed to speak only on condition of anonymity.
Well, I've been coming to Arugambay for quite a long time, and Arugambay has been known to be this sleepy little fishing village that people come to surf. Today, it's like Tel Aviv.
Residents also say this beach town has become a rest and recovery stop for Israeli soldiers returning from Gaza.
Quite often you'll see military boots being worn when they travel.
Locals say their livelihoods are under threat from Israelis working on tourist visas and running businesses without permits.
And I like to emphasize they're not big spenders. They're big takers from us. They take our business away. There's lots of businesses running without any sort of paperwork.
There are unconfirmed reports that China has banned Israeli tourists in response to Israel attacking its ally, Iran. And there are also unconfirmed reports that Russia plans to deport Israeli citizens to punish the United States and Israel for ousting Putin's ally in Venezuela. Russia also sent a message to Israel when it recently deported 15 Israelis from Moscow, a message that was also heard loud and clear by the general Russian population.
A crowd of hundreds breached the defences of Dagestan's main airport. Once inside, the men were free to move. The only apparent resistance, locked doors as they searched for Israeli passengers. Reportedly answering a call posted on the Telegram messaging app to avenge Gaza. There are no Israelis here, says a member of the airport staff. Now they were looking for the plane itself, recently landed from Tel Aviv. Passengers on one aircraft scrambling back on board as the rioters converged on the Russian-owned Red Wings jet, some clambering onto it.
Obviously, this program doesn't condone the kind of lynch mob behaviour, but vigilante violence is what happens when governments do nothing to fix a moral injustice. But more to the point, what happened in Russia is also happening in any number of countries that have grown fed up with the genocidal acts of the Israeli government, which until now have gone totally unpunished, leaving states, corporations and individuals to take matters into their own hands by boycotting anything or anyone with ties to the Zionist state. In other words, people are voting with their wallets as hotels across the world are either evicting Israeli tourists or denying them accommodation to send an unmistakable message to the Israeli government that genocide, racism and apartheid will not go unpunished. Last month, the African nation of Ghana deported Israeli tourists in response to the racist immigration policies of the Zionist regime.
And we end the show with a tit-for-tat diplomacy move from Ghana. The country has deported 3 Israeli nationals who landed in Accra on Wednesday. They say they've been compelled to retaliate over what Israel started. Ghanaian authorities have stated this move is a direct response to the alleged mistreatment of Ghanaian travellers in Tel Aviv. Earlier this month, 7 Ghanaians were detained at Israel's Ben Gurion airport. 4 of them were staff from the parliamentary service attending a cybersecurity conference. Accra says their citizens were held for 5 hours without a justifiable explanation.
Israel is so racist towards Africans that it refers to Ethiopian Jews as an African menace or demographic death sentence, one that threatens Israel's white European DNA. This racist ambition is why the Israeli government not only violates the country's constitutionally mandated law of return in denying citizenship to Ethiopian Jews, but also it illegally and forcibly sterilized African migrants who successfully migrated to Israel in decades past, as I reported in this 2018 article for The New Arab.
When we say Jewish state, what we mean is the national state of the Jewish people. But if Jews want to come here, any Jew, they're welcome. We embrace them.
Israel touts itself as the only safe haven and protector of all Jews. That is, unless you're black. In 2012, Israeli journalist Gal Gabay set out to discover why the birth rate among Ethiopian immigrants had plummeted by nearly 50% over the previous decade. What she ended up uncovering was a troubling web of deceit, lies, and systematic racism against Ethiopian Jewish women. Gabay's investigation revealed that Ethiopian women immigrating to Israel were being injected with a long-acting contraceptive without their knowledge or consent. These injections, administered every 3 months while the women were still in transit camps in Ethiopia, continued after their arrival to Israel. Some women claimed they were threatened by Israeli doctors who told them they wouldn't be allowed to immigrate if they refused the injection, while others were simply told they were receiving a vaccine and given no details on the side effects.
On the other side of the South Atlantic Ocean, vacationing Israeli soldiers are accused of deliberately starting a series of fires that are sweeping across Patagonia in southern Argentina.
Lo que más te duele es el alma y el corazón cuando ves a la gente que se quedó sin nada, cuando ves los animales muertos. Nosotros hacemos colecta, yo no puedo ni hablar de la angustia que tenemos, nosotros vivimos acá. Este lugar para nosotros es el paraíso y nos quemaron el paraíso, loco. Nos dejaron, arruinaron todo. Y acá lo que pasa es que están queriendo venderle la Patagonia a todos los judíos, loco. Esto se sabe hace un montón, acá todo el mundo lo sabe, está lleno de israelitas, está todo el mundo comprando la tierra, nadie hace nada y la única gente que pone el pecho es la gente que perdió todo. Acá nos dejaron solos.
This place is crawling with Israelis? Is that true? Another news report from Argentina caught our eye. We seem to learn here that grenades found in the burned up areas of Patagonia are Israeli made.
Even without threats of deportation, we can expect to see fewer Israeli tourists in foreign destinations, given every Israeli citizen of military age is potentially on the hook for committing war crimes, which is why the Israeli government warns its citizens against traveling abroad.
Israel Defense Forces warning soldiers and officers who fought in Gaza to avoid traveling abroad after groups filed complaints against them for alleged war crimes. That is according to a report by Ynet. In 8 cases, soldiers who did travel abroad were immediately told to return over fears that they would be arrested or questioned by the country they were visiting. The soldiers visiting Cyprus, Slovenia, and the Netherlands.
Israel, of course, is desperate to change the narrative, which is why it's flooding the zone with nearly $1 billion worth of propaganda in 2026, up from $200 million last year. This hasbara is supported by a campaign of online censorship, which has already pressured YouTube into demonetizing thousands of pro-Palestinian channels and deleting more than 700 videos that revealed evidence of Israeli war crimes. Our channel was one of those victims. As a result, the Zionist lobby successfully pressuring YouTube into demonetizing our program 4 months ago. This means our survival is solely dependent on those who kindly support us via Patreon. Therefore, we kindly ask that you please support our effort to expose and confront the Zionist lobby and other injustices in the Muslim world by becoming a member of our show at patreon.com/CJWerleman. We can't produce, sustain, and grow the show without your help, and we offer exclusive content and benefits to those who do. But for now, good morning, good evening, wherever you are, and stay blessed.